The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King's University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨， 你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King's University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨， 你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨， 你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准的对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
The educational initiatives, such as the one joining Wenzhou University and Kane University, can have the same kind of life-changing impact on our bilateral relations for the next generation as the Nixon trip did for the generation that is leading our two countries today.
刘大使说，法拉奇校长选准了对象，我完全同意这个观点。温州是一个了不得的地方，温州人缺的不是权，温州人缺的是教育。但是你们像一场及时雨，你 你们的话呢，在那里建一所学校，正是温州人求之不得的。
Being from New Jersey and going all the way across the world to China was amazing. Sometimes I think about it and it's like, did I really do that? To travel all the way across the world was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm very grateful. I'm really proud of King University for such an experience.
students who are suicidal will not contact a mental health professional as their initial contact, who do you think they will be contacting? If they're not going to the counseling session, who are they talking to? Right? They're going to make contact. They're going to create a bond with you. They're going to say, I know Carly, I feel comfortable with her, I'd rather talk to her because I don't want to go to counseling. That says something, a different message to me. So, and that's one of the reasons why we have this session, because our students see us and make those connections, and they're going to talk to us. They may not go to a professional. Roughly 30% of college students report being so depressed that they cannot function. Can't get out of bed, can't go to the dining hall, can't go to class. Most students report anxiety as a major symptom. And faculty and staff, as I mentioned before, are usually the first point of contact for our students. You will see their behaviors in the classrooms. You may see changes in their behaviors even through their writings, through their assignments. And so that's another area that you might also see. Now, not all disruptive behavior in general has the same causes. So because a student may be disruptive in your class doesn't necessarily mean that's something major, or it could be suicidal, it could be maybe they had a fight with their partner. Maybe they had a little disagreement with their mom or dad, right? So we definitely don't want to present this as every time something happens in your class. It could be something major. So of course we don't want to treat every disruption the same. Some behaviors could be concerning without being disruptive. So you have the student who is participating, they're active, they're enjoying the class, and for some reason the next day they're not speaking, there's no eye contact, they're late, right? Doesn't have to be disruptive. Could be just a change in behavior. Okay. What's that?
Hello, everybody. I'm Vince Kiefner. I'm the new director for Counseling and Disability Services. So I was just going to speak briefly about this slide, which this is a model of campus services and kind of promotion of how to work with distressed / suicidal students that is put out by SPRC, which is the Suicide Prevention Resource Center, a great organization. It's affiliated with the government. It's funded through SAMHSA, other organizations, and then the JED Foundation, another great organization. So what they do, kind of trying to create a comprehensive kind of model to promote, as you know, as the ones on the right-hand side, increase help-seeking behavior. To try to do something like this, to do presentations like this, to inform you all as staff and faculty member as to what to do if you do come across a student who you are concerned about, or if a student actually approaches you. I've only been here since October 24th, and I'm aware of already 2 instances where students approached professors, one of which was late at night, like around 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, and conveyed basically that they were not doing well, that they were having some suicidal thought, ideation we call, and they were asking for assistance and help. And very thankfully, that professor did the right thing. They contacted campus police. Campus police came on the site. They did their assessment, and the student was transported to the hospital. And that's the type of thing that can happen very quickly without any type of notification. You might not even be aware that the student has been struggling or is a student of concern, as we also say. Okay. Providing mental health services, of course, through the Counseling and Disability Services. That's part of the model. Following crisis management procedures so that all people are informed, not just the ones who, like ourselves, who are dealing with it on a day-to-day basis, but to inform you all as staff and faculty as to what to do when that student approaches you. How do you deal with a student like that? What's the first step? What's the second step? What's the third step? And who do you talk to afterwards to maybe even find out, okay, what happened with that student? Can you find out what happened to that student? That's another important question. Restricting access to potentially lethal means. That can be, I think, on a college campus, one of the ones that I've run across personally, having had a student suicide at my previous institution, was access to balconies and windows. We had a student death that involved a person out on a balcony. So one of the things that I talked about with my director at the time was, well, what are we going to do about it? You know, it's happened now. Somebody has fallen or, quote, jumped from the balcony. So now what are we going to do? So, you know, those things are the things that we have to talk about as an institution, as to what are we doing collectively to prevent people from actually acting on those impulses and those thoughts and feelings. Because what research has shown, restricting means is the most effective way of preventing suicide. Okay? So that is something that's really critical to take, even from, you know, this brief presentation, is restriction of means is the most critical, important aspect, because if you prevent them from actually accessing the means, they cannot act on those impulses or take those types of actions. Okay? Developing life skills, promoting social networks, and then identifying students at risk, which of course Maxie will talk more about with Qubit coming up. Okay? Thanks.
Hi, I'm Robin Mansfield. I'm the director of the Health Services. And I just want to tell you a little bit about this folder. Do you all have one of these? Yeah, so if somebody does not or needs one or needs another one, just let us know at the end of the presentation. We'll make sure that you get one. But this folder is a great resource, and especially this front page where it describes the behavior that you may be seeing in the classroom and the referral sources. Who should you contact if you're seeing this type of behavior? Anywhere from aggression to illness and injury, assault, students with disability, and also it addresses the Kane Ocean campus. Also, how to make a referral to the counseling center is on the back. And on the inside, recognizing and dealing with student conduct and a lot of questions and answers on classroom safety. So if you do not have one of these, please let us know and we'll make sure that you get one.
And so again, part of the presentation will be kind of going through certain parts of this folder as well. Something that is very important, I think, for us to share with you is that we have a student conduct, a community standards and student conduct office here on campus that is responsible for ensuring that students are accountable for their behavior and that they're following policies and procedures. Nicole Rodriguez, who's the director of that particular office, is out sick today, and many of you probably already know her already, but she's been very involved with faculty and staff in terms of making sure that we're addressing student behavior in the classroom. Many times there are questions from faculty and staff about whether this behavior is okay. And if Nicole was here, she would chuckle because she's the first one to say, no, not okay. Not good behavior, not disruptive to the students, not following policy. So she really is that person who not only enforces that, but does it in a way that is educational, because that is the point, and allows the student to be able to progress in that class. If that class needs to be changed, we work very closely with academic affairs, because again, as I continue to mention through this program, it's about making sure that that student is successful. Here, disruptive conduct, students may not exhibit disruptive behavior if it interferes or obstructs with the classroom environment, specifically with the rights of students to learn. How do you respond? If the student is causing disruption, make sure, and this is very important because this really is not about anyone here having to be a hero. We want you to be safe. We want you to feel confident about how you're addressing a student. But definitely what we want you to do is make sure that there are limits explaining the behavior to the student, and if you need to report, we will be talking about the reporting process in a few minutes. In addition, we have, some of you actually went through Title IX training, either this morning or this afternoon, and of course, we follow a very specific process. We do not expect you to be counselors in this situation, and definitely I'm hoping that it was shared earlier in terms of confidentiality, correct? That this isn't about a confidential matter. So we want to make sure that if you need the resources or if you have questions about this, there's also a website here that explains the process for students who may be sharing that they are dealing with this kind of a situation. Excuse me. Okay. Another component that we work with very closely with on campus, a department, is of course campus police and public safety. And so if you're finding students that are aggressive in class, again, if that gut feeling is telling you this is not working out, something is happening with the student that could potentially be dangerous to students in the classroom, myself as a faculty or staff, or themselves, you definitely want to make that call to campus police. They are trained, again, we work closely with them, and they understand how to address these situations, okay? You have to follow that gut feeling. If it's a first-time deal and you're going home thinking, I really should call, then you make the call. We want to make sure that you're coming back to a classroom that you're feeling safe, or an office, and that, again, that we're making sure that we can address the situation with that student.
So if you have a student who is experiencing an illness or injury, so they can come, you can direct them to Student Health Services. So let me just kind of explain a little bit about what we see, what we treat at Health Services. Any student can come see us, graduate, undergraduate, full-time, part-time, and we are open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we really deal with acute illness, your head colds, your UTIs, your rashes, your injuries, you know, sprained ankles, that type of thing. We do provide women's health services, so, you know, more acute, not chronic situations. However, if you have a student and you're not sure, send them our way. If it is something that we can't manage, we'll certainly get them to the resource that they need. In saying that, if it's a medical emergency, do not send them to our office. If it's a medical emergency, call campus police, call 911, and they will respond immediately. We cannot respond out on campus, so campus police will respond. They are all trained EMS. They will get the ambulance there if necessary, and they'll assess the situation. If you send them to our office, we're just going to do the same thing. Obviously, we'll stabilize the student if it's a necessary situation, but we're going to call 911 also, so don't waste the time about sending them to our office. We also deal with medical leaves of absence, so if you have a student who is experiencing something and they're coming to you and, you know, expressing that they may need a medical leave of absence, direct them to our office. And a relatively new service, it's not really health services, but health services is the contact point, is our student services advocate. So if a student needs to, possibly they've told you they've experienced a sexual assault or any type of assault, or a situation where they need to know what their resources are on campus, you have them contact health services, say they need to speak to the student service advocate, and we will put them in touch with that person. There are 2 people on campus who have been going through training for this, and like I said, it's a relatively new service. It's evolving, but health services is the contact point for that. And I know we're going to talk about Ocean in a minute, but while I'm on the topic of health services, if you are from the Ocean campus, obviously, the students can come to our office, but that's a bit inconvenient for them. So we have the doctor's office in Brick, and the students could go there. We prefer they call us and let us know that they're going there, but they can go there, show their cane ID, and they can get services at the doctor's office at Brick. We have an arrangement with them. All of our treatments, medications, anything that we provide to the student, there is no charge to them. The only thing we would use insurance for is if we would need to do blood work or something like that. Otherwise, our services are included in all their service student fees, so there's no charge, no money changes hands when they come to our office. Yeah, it's all the ocean brochures and things like that. It should be there, and it is on our website too. I would call 911. That goes directly to campus police. Yeah, so that's the fastest way, to get the help that you need.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free. That's great.
Do you have another?
One other thing, because I see Vince standing out there. Sometimes we don't want the stigma of counseling. We want to destigmify counseling, but sometimes it's easier to get a student to come to our office. So if that's the case, that's fine. We prefer they get to where they need, but if for some reason they're really resistant, say, hey, how about we go to health services? We can bring them in the office, talk to them, and then direct them where they need to go. So if you need to use that as a tactic, that's fine. Of course, we prefer they get to where they need to go initially.
Okay. So we're talking about, this slide is just about crises. So I did mention a couple minutes ago about that, the student could be even later at night that actually approaches a faculty member and expresses something of a concern. What do I mean by that? When we say believe a student may be a danger to themselves or others, there's really a whole spectrum of ways that students can express themselves. They can literally just tell you, I'm having thoughts about killing myself or committing suicide, which, your response under those circumstances is very clear. You need to get them some assistance. Like I said before, probably the first thing to do, especially if it was after hours, after regular kind of working hours, was to call campus police under those types of circumstances. What if it's a little grayer? What if the student is talking with you, maybe the student is in your office, you're having this conversation, they're making statements about some kind of shortened future, saying they don't think they're going to be maybe returning next semester, they don't see any point in doing anything anymore. They may mention feelings of hopelessness, purposelessness, things of that nature, which may require a little bit more questioning on your part to kind of get that information from them. Obviously, if in the course of the conversation you do come to a conclusion that you're concerned about their immediate safety, or possibly the safety of someone else, if a student might have some homicidal ideation, that should prompt, of course, an immediate response where you would reach out to campus police, or if it was during regular working hours to contact us in the counseling office or campus police, and that we could respond to that type of situation. And that's usually what happens. I mean, that's been my experience in talking with faculty and staff members, is it's not always so clear cut. It's more like kind of what Maxie was saying is you leave your class, you pack up your stuff, you walk out, you've talked with someone, and then on the way home, you're thinking about what the person said. Or in our day and age, of course, multimedia. A student sends an email. I don't know if faculty share texting or phone numbers, things of that nature, and you receive something, sometimes something very late at night. Then what do you do? That's been a very common occurrence actually in my the institution, where a faculty member will receive an email typically, and sometimes it's late at night, and then we won't find out about it from the counseling office until like the next morning, if we're lucky. And then I read the email and I'm like, where is this student? We need to find them immediately. We need to assess them, something of that nature. And that's kind of what I'm kind of trying to emphasize, is if there's a gray area, if you're concerned, reach out. Campus police is open 24/7, right? I mean, they're always available for that type of consultation. And you know, my guess is if campus police were contacted in that situation, you know, they would contact someone like Maxie or Janice or even maybe myself, you know, to do further consultation. So it's really just about passing on that information as soon as possible. I think that's really critical. But you know, that's what we're here for, the Kane Counseling Center, to deal with those types of situations. And just so happens that my staff is here. I'd like my staff just to stand up real quick, just to kind of show that they're here in attendance. Donna, you can also stand up. Donna is our Managing Assistant Director for Disability Services, so they're all here. Okay, all right. We also we have some other staff members who are part-time who aren't here today. But so, you know, we're all here working, you know, 5 days a week, trying to make sure everybody's safe and you guys have as much assistance as possible. Okay, let's switch to the next one. So, so dealing with a student who needs to talk to someone. So not quite at that critical, emergency, imminent level, but clearly the student is in distress and just needs some help and assistance. Obviously, that's what we're here for as well. And we'd really like for that type of referral to happen. You know, my old mentor and boss back at Ramapo College used to say, you know, do it sooner rather than later. Very simple kind of phrase, but something he really emphasized over and over again. If you're concerned about a student, if a student kind of comes up and makes you wonder how are they doing or something, have that conversation, pull them aside for just a minute or two. Believe it or not, that can make a tremendous difference to a student, that you've taken a moment of your time, of your busy time, we're all busy, and you've made an effort to just engage with them and maybe tell them about the counseling center. And say, hey, we have this place on campus that you have experts, people who deal with this on an everyday basis and are there to talk with you about these types of issues or concerns. And then I'll talk a little bit in a little while more about how you go about doing that referral. Okay.
And again, we talked again, and you've got the training regarding Title IX and sexual assault and physical assault. And again, you want to make sure that you're reaching out. Our resource for that right now is the Office of Community Standards and Student Conduct. You want to provide, you know, as Vincent was saying, you want to provide that support for the student, but again, you want to get them to a place where they're going to understand the process and they're going to understand their resources for this area. So again, we're kind of sharing the same over and over again, but just letting you know that there are resources out there for the students. Disability services. Vincent mentioned that Donna Dingle is here, and she is from that particular office. Some fantastic services, because again, we're talking about emotional, and sometimes the disruption really comes from students who need additional services. Can you talk briefly about your services? 2 seconds? I'm putting her on the spot here. But Donna has done such a fantastic job with connecting with some of our students who are needing some of these services. Just briefly.
So any student who comes to you and suggests that they have a need for accommodations, if they say, oh, in high school I always had extra time, or I got to take my tests in a different room, things like that, to give you a hint that they were in special ed, you can refer them to our offices. We deal with all disabilities, physical, learning, emotional, just anything. I also have spoken to some students who don't really have a disability but are struggling for other reasons, and then I just refer them for study skills help in other areas. And sometimes I give them a little bit of information about some of the technology that students with learning disabilities use that is also going to be helpful to others.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you. And Robin mentioned earlier Kane Ocean. We have a wonderful partnership with Kane Ocean. Again, we want to provide very similar services and resources for the faculty and staff and the students at Kane Ocean. So these are some of the resources that you can also call as well. Now, reporting these behaviors, right? We've been talking a little bit about that session, but what we have found in terms of research is that there are times that faculty and staff are concerned about reporting behaviors, and these are some of the reasons. You know, we find that some faculty and staff, they will connect with us, but they may say, I'm concerned that the student is going to, you know, try to speak with me directly. They're going to be upset with me. I don't know how to handle it. Some faculty and staff want an immediate response. I want this person out of my class. I want this person to be sent home, expelled from the university. And so that's another issue in terms of that. As I mentioned, faculty fear reporting will be viewed as a reflection of their inability to teach in that class or to manage that student. And of course, retaliation. So those are some of the reasons why sometimes we don't hear about things that are going on until much later. Talked about student conduct earlier before, and here's really the bottom line, and I think Vincent mentioned it also. Communication is so key. We really want to know what's happening. We want to hear from you. I'm going to talk about the Kean University Behavior Intervention Team because this is a team that literally is asking you to submit reports to us, to communicate with us, to send us those emails, even if it's those minor things that you're not sure about, because this is how we can help to address what's happening with our students. It could be something behavioral, student conduct, it could be an illness, but we want to be able to address that and help you with that process. I want to share also that I don't know if you do the same thing, but I kind of live with my cell phone and sleep with my cell phone and have all these notifications. Does anybody else do that? Please, somebody raise their hand. Oh, thank you. We are constantly in contact with each other. And when an incident happens with the student, when you submit an incident report to us, we're going to see it immediately. Whether it's Saturday, Sunday, we're texting each other. Even today, we were texting each other. We communicate directly because what's really important is that we're addressing the situation as quickly as possible for that student. We're already processing and thinking about it. The university has a QBIT team, Kean University Behavior Intervention Team. Can we go to the next slide? I'm hearing this. I'm going to come over here. And this is our team. The Vice President for Student Affairs, Janice Murray Lowry, myself, Vincent is on the team, Robin, and Nicole. And it's a wonderful team, and the purpose of the team is that we're constantly communicating with each other. When you submit a report about a student, we meet on a weekly basis, and we review that incident and that case. We talk about the student, and surprisingly enough, sometimes you're sending a student information to us about a student, something happens in a classroom, and I may actually say, wait a minute, this student is actually a resident in the residence halls, and this person is having some issues in the residence halls, right? And so what we start to do is connect the fact that this student, something's going on with the student, and how can we begin to address what those issues are with that student. Can we go? Okay. So the purpose of the behavior intervention team is definitely consultation. We want to make sure that we're supporting you. And many times when you're submitting reports to us, we're contacting you directly. Ask you questions, find out how you're doing depending on the situation, possibly even doing a temporary remediation or response to the situation. It may be a temporary removal from the classroom until we can understand what's happening for the student. But we will be communicating with you. Your report doesn't just get sent to us and then you don't hear from us again. And I think, again, that's one of the great things about working with the team, because that's really, really important that you understand it's in the right place. Can we take me back? Sorry. Can you? Okay. Part of the QBIT team also, because I know we don't have the clicker, it's different. Part of the QBIT team also is that once we review that incident and determine what the next steps are, we then want to make sure that we have the correct services. Sometimes we may have to go out of the university for some services. We're doing consultation. We're putting a strategy in place, again, to assist that student and get that student moving forward. Okay? Okay. Through the QBIT team, we actually have a website, and you can actually find on the website, as well as on the website for community standards and student conduct, a reporting incident report. It actually looks like this. We were going to set it up because you can go on the Kean website. But if you search the Office of Community Standards and Student Conduct, this is the what you're going to see. Click here to report concerning behavior. And clicking there will give you just a template of a report that you're going to just kind of fill in, and it will also include the incident itself, a description of the incident. Once you send that to us, you will get an immediate response to let you know. We can go to the next one. You'll get an immediate response to let you know it's been sent, thank you, and we will be getting in contact with you. And usually within 24 to 48 hours, that's exactly what happens. Again, to gather information, and again, to start the process of addressing the needs for that student. Now, we don't have to meet on a weekly basis just to talk about the student. We may be calling each other at the moment that the report comes in to say, let's start with these 3 steps to start the process. It could be a Friday, and now we have to wait till Monday. So we want to make sure, again, that we're addressing it as soon as possible. Okay, now I just want to share also that the Qubit team has been the Qubit team, wow, for I believe probably 5-6 years. And I have to say that for the incidents that have come through, for the students that we've had to work with, we've had so many positive responses. I have to say, the meeting with these students, and I try to attend graduation every year, and I have to say that to see them still complete their program, to see that they have flourished because we just intervened and helped them a little bit, really makes a difference. So part of the mailing at some point will include a Qubit brochure, which will give you all of our phone numbers and give you all of our information as well as a lot of the information that you're seeing here today.
Yeah, if anybody has to step out so they don't pass out, please go ahead and do so. It is warming. So I'm going to speak a little bit more about how to make an actual referral to the counseling center. So promoting appropriate boundaries, that's at the top little section there. So what do we mean by that? So making sure that you don't become too connected or overwhelmed by the situation. So, and you don't necessarily take on more than you feel comfortable with or might be appropriate under the circumstances. So having kind of that mindfulness in place, even outside of a crisis or stressful situation, I think is always helpful to make sure that students, while they see you as a resource and maybe even as a mentor or a helping agent, they don't necessarily misinterpret you as, say, a psychologist or counselor or some other type of figure, which you may not be under the circumstances. And I think it's very understandable how that could happen. It's very understandable how somebody might slip into that position. But what typically occurs, been my experience, is that, again, maybe a faculty member has been talking, kind of communicating, maybe even gotten more involved with a particular student. This has been going on for quite some time, but then it gets to this point where it kind of just crosses a line, and again, say 7 o'clock at night in your office, the student then starts to talk about things that are kind of beyond a faculty-student type of relationship, where they reveal some personal information, or they might reveal something of an emotional or maybe more distressing type of situation. And you are kind of caught in that kind of moment of okay, what do I do now? Now that the person has just kind of unloaded something pretty big onto you. So that's kind of what we mean as far as promoting appropriate boundaries, and it can happen very, very easily. I'm certainly not here to be judgmental or to kind of say you have to. Nobody can fall into this type of situation. Anybody can, I think. But it's just, to put this up there, just to be mindful that if you feel like a relationship with a student is kind of going in a direction that starts to kind of make you feel like, okay, I'm not sure if this is really appropriate anymore, or I'm getting information from the student that is of a more concerning, distressing nature, I think I need to consult, or I think I need to kind of refer them out to someone else. And then the counseling center might most likely be the place to refer them to for something like that. Easily recognizable indicators the student may be experiencing. It's a little bit hard to see that, but I think we've kind of already spoken about that to some extent. I'm not going to belabor that issue. And tips for referring a student, I'm going to kind of reference that section, tips for referring a student, and then once the student has agreed that counseling may be useful, several possible ways of doing that. So as far as tips for referring a student, I think Maxie has already spoken about trying, Maxie and Robin have already spoken about trying to destigmatize, you know, the counseling treatment kind of model. So students, when I worked at Pratt, I worked in a combined department. It was both a health and counseling department, and we were physically connected as well. So what would happen a lot is students would come in and check off that they were here for some kind of medical consultation or concern. And then within maybe 10, 15 minutes of the consultation, the medical person will come out, knock on my door and say, I think this is a counseling issue, actually. So that happens actually very frequently. So, and I think for whatever reason, students do feel more comfortable maybe seeking out maybe services initially in Robin's office, and it's a harder walk. It's just harder to walk through our door as opposed to, say, like a medical door or maybe even your office door. So, I mean, if you feel the person could benefit from a referral to our center, I think a basic way of just kind of, you know, explaining to them is that, again, we are a group of professionals on campus whose job is to help students like you out in these types of situations. Just to kind of use really plain language, not to use anything alarming or kind of provocative, and say, you know, they are here to help you, to assist you, to talk with you. Just, there's a great place for you to go and talk with someone about this. You know, hopefully that's enough. Hopefully that would make it the referral kind of easy enough for the student. If you need more assistance with something like that, say the student, you think the student might come, but you're not too sure, or maybe you have doubts that the student is actually going to follow through in the referral, contact us. Let us talk to you about the situation. We might be able to give you further consultation or further tips in how to deal with that particular student. That's fine. That's what we're here for as well. So maybe you actually get the student to agree to the referral. So what are the different levels of involvement on your part? It could be as simple as telling them about the counseling center and saying, hey, there's a counseling office located in Downs Hall, room 127. You can call, or you can just walk in to make an appointment. Might be just that straightforward. If that's your comfort level, that's fine. For some other people, they feel more comfortable maybe making the initial phone call with the student. That can also be immensely helpful for a student who is concerned about just making the call, not sure how to actually talk about or speak about even making an appointment. Remember, these sometimes are 18, 19-year-old individuals who have maybe never done something like this before in their whole life. Maybe they've never even made a medical doctor's appointment. So to ask them to do something like that, there's an anxiety just in that particular piece of it. Again, it might not seem like a big deal, but for them, it's a big deal just to make that phone call. So if you can go that extra step, that could be immensely helpful, at least just connecting. We'll take it from there. If you make the call with them, or you just hand them the telephone, and then we'll take it from there. And then maybe even a little bit more involvement, if you feel like it would be helpful or even necessary, is to maybe walk the student over to the counseling office, again, located in Downs Hall. And health services is also located in Downs Hall, and disability services. We're all one-stop shop. So, you know, that, again, can make a tremendous difference. It gets the person there. You know, they've gotten there, they've spoken to someone, usually a front desk person at least, to maybe schedule an appointment, or maybe having to do an emergency counseling appointment. You know, we will meet with the student under those circumstances, especially if you are walking them over. Now, here's the thing. A lot of faculty, they take that step, are really well-meaning, they walk the student over, and then, so, you know, our front desk assistant will say, hey, a faculty member just walked over a student to the office. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Where's the faculty member? Oh, they left. They just kind of left. They dropped them off, and then they just walked out. I said, who was the faculty member? Didn't get the name. So it's like, we used to call them at Pratt, we used to call it drop and roll. You know, like you drop the person over, and then you just kind of roll out the door as fast as possible. So what I'm kind of just requesting is, if you take that step, you know, stick around just for a couple minutes, just so it's either I or one of the other staff members can just kind of talk with you really briefly, get a summary as to why you took that somewhat extraordinary step of walking a student over to the counseling office. And that can be immensely helpful for us. So we really appreciate that type of extra kind of engagement. Okay? And then just a quick section about confidentiality. So this is a question I get a lot from faculty and staff members is, okay, so now that I've actually brought the person over to the counseling office, I want to know what's happening with them. Did they come in for the session? Are you still seeing them? How are they doing? Sorry, can't answer those questions without the permission of the student. So, and that's the key thing. So, you know, if you call and I don't have permission to mention to you that the student did come for maybe the appointment, or the student is in treatment, or maybe the student was hospitalized as an outcome of your referral, I can't reveal that information because of confidentiality, lawful privilege. But here's the thing. If you're concerned about the student, ask them. Just ask them. That's a really simple way of kind of doing it. Just say, did you go to the appointment? Is it okay? Can you give permission for your psychotherapist to let me know that you've been there, or something of that matter? Some of the students will be okay with that. Some of them won't. It really just depends on the student. But typically, the students are very forthcoming, and they're so appreciative of the fact, again, that you've actually done that. You've actually continued to show concern and are interested in their well-being and safety. Okay? Yes?
My response always is absolutely, but I need for you to know that if there's something that I hear that's of great concern, then I need to reach out to our counseling program. Just as long as you know that and you trust me, that I would do the right thing. That's usually what I say,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't betray the student's sense if I reach out and report it, that I'm going against them, or doing something like that.
Yeah.
And I would even say, can everybody hear me okay? You know, I would even say also, what you could also say is, it won't be confidential, but it will be private. Because once, you know, sometimes students hear that and say, okay, great, it's gonna be confidential. And in the conversation, you may then have to extend it to another office. So we, you know, in my office, we teach our staff and our RAs who really get into those really similar positions. Hey, this is between you and me. No, or you and I. No, you can't do that. This is private. I will keep it between us, but I won't have to share with someone else. And so usually that word helps the student to understand with the same, and I agree, with the same idea of, but I am concerned about you. I am going to help you out, and I'm going to help you through this process. And I think that's what really keeps our students connected. And it really says so much about the relationship that you have made with that student. They've actually come out to you in that sense. So I think that is fantastic and that's well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay.
So these are some Q&As that are actually on the folder that we're going to go through very quickly. It's actually getting cooler in here. Is that just me? It is getting cooler, right? Thank goodness. You know, I'm glad Robin is here. I thought I was going to faint up here. But no, I won't scare you that way. Just some Q&A also in terms of some of the things we're going to click. Oh, is it easier to? What if a disruptive student claims the disruptive behavior is the result of a disability? Donna? All students, and that is definitely the answer, all students have to meet the same standard of conduct that we expect of them. So there is, really the answer is that you're still going to, we are still as a university going to address the behavior. If it's disruptive, it's a student conduct issue. If part of the conversation means that we want to also provide different types of support, that is part of the conversation. So really, we don't want you to think, well, we do know that this person has a learning disability, so it's okay that they take a nap in the class. It's okay, right? We want to make sure that we're still assisting that student and we're addressing the behavior. When should I call the police? When should you call the police? Yeah, when you think it's an emergency, when you think the student may be harmful to themselves or to others, right? When you think that this is an illness that is very, very serious, and even though the student is saying, it's okay, I'm gonna drive home, and when I get home, I'll take care of it. You may still have to call the police. Again, letting that student know that we really want to help you. If you need the assistance of other faculty and staff to help you with that process, I really encourage that as well. I think one of the most difficult things is when you're dealing with the student one-on-one and you're kind of feeling like, I really need that additional support to help me with this process. Should I act immediately or wait for a pattern of misbehavior to occur? What do you believe would be the answer to that? Depends. Okay, so it depends on the behavior itself. Were you gonna? Correct. Absolutely, yeah. And there will be times when you're going to make a little bit of that judgment call. Feel free to still do that report to us, and we'll make that call to us and say, you know, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I did notice this today. And we're going to advise you on it. And we may tell you, well, you know what? We may or may not know the student already, or we'll give you some support and some recommendations on what can happen, right? Okay, statement on the Family Educational Right and Privacy Act. Again, on the folder, this is very specific. Information from student education records may be shared within the university by those officials with a legitimate educational interest. And this goes back to how much we share about our students, correct? So part of what's in this folder as well is this is really, really important, that we understand FERPA. I believe there was a session during professional development, and how this is being utilized within your offices. And if you have questions about it, you can always reach out to us as well, okay? Final comments, right? And so again, this goes back to the goal of providing support for everyone across the board, faculty, staff, and also, most importantly, our students. As a community, we want to connect with our students and we want to provide them resources. We want to make sure that you know what the resources are. That's the other piece of this. When you have things that are going on and there's a question about, well, who am I supposed to call? As a result of this session, you have at least 3 individuals, and then you know Janice Murray Lowry and Nicole Rodriguez. You can make that call. Prevention. We want to be proactive as well, and also prevention. We want you to be involved in this process. This is how we get to move our students forward academically and as they're growing personally. Trust your instincts. This is so incredibly important. Again, you're reading an email. This happened recently. You're reading an email and there's something about it that kind of throws you off a little bit. Send it to us. Maybe you just forward the email and say, Maxie, what do you think about this? Student is great in the class, everything's going good, but something about this is unique. We will definitely review it and give you that kind of advice. So share what you hear. We've heard this before. If you see something, say something. Really important, keep your eyes open. And once you know something is happening, once you're getting that feeling, definitely do something about it, even if it's just that phone call, okay? And as always, help us help you. Staying engaged, again, and understanding that this is a very stressful time for some students, whether they're freshmen going through transition from high school to college, and all of our students are generally going through transition in terms of what's going on in their lives. Knowing the university policy and the policies within your own department. If you're unsure, speak with your supervisors. Speak with your staffs. Let them. There should be a conversation about what do we do if a student is disruptive? If a student gets ill, if a student needs some resources. So have that conversation with your staffs. Know the emergency evacuation procedures. Again, remember, please do not put yourself in any jeopardy. Your safety is just as important to us. This session is not about making you a fantastic, wonderful counselor. This really is about how do we support our students and what are the resources that are out there and how you can connect with our group as well so that we can help you. I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions or comments or feedback? Mhm.
Is there a way for students to book an appointment with you online without actually having to talk to you first?
I'm sorry, I heard.
Is there a way for students to book an appointment with you online without having to talk
Right.
to your time?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if students want to meet with the counseling center and health services, there's a way to do online for health services, not for counseling. Yeah. But they can call the office directly to do that as well. Is that something that's?
That's the easiest way is to make the initial phone call.
Mhm.
We do have a email address. It's not my preferred kind of method for students to reach out to us, but some students do that. They email between at k.cu website, and then what that would do is it will prompt someone from our office, probably I guess from front desk assistant, to reach out to us. Schedule an appointment.
And for health services, you can find how to make an appointment just on our website, but I also have these little connect with us cards that have all of our contact information, and even has our Ask the Nurse contact page. So if anybody wants to put a stack of those, that a student needs that, you can put them on. I don't have them here, but just let me know. Make those available.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or an antagonistic student? Is that someone to send to your counseling center?
I would. Yeah. Right, I agree. And then that could potentially be an email or a report to us directly so that we can help to assist in that process and understand what's happening for that student. Yeah, we have ways to convince them to come and visit us. And I say that facetiously, but we do actually. We have had situations where these are behaviors that we automatically understand have to be addressed even immediately. Nicole is not here, but she really is fantastic in terms of reaching out to that student. We will call them Nicole Rodriguez. She is the Director of Community Standards and Student Conduct. And she will send them a formal letter. She will call them on the cell phone. There are specific ways. And I think, again, I have to honestly tell you, in the 6 years or so that we've had Qubit going, we've really been very successful reaching out with our students. Sure, there are times that when we meet with them, it's not a pleasant conversation, but they will come and meet with us. There are consequences. We have never been in a situation where this person doesn't want to meet with us. And if that's the case, we have to take it to a different level. Again, the bigger picture is what's happening in that classroom and how are the students being affected and what's going on in general for that student. So we have been very successful. Mhm. Yeah.
Not currently. We're might be shifting that way in the future. We use it more as a staffing.
And my other question was, do you offer groups, like therapy groups or, workshops in stress management, that kind of thing?
We do have several groups running right now. either continue in individual work, or they might be referred to a group, or they might work in individual capacity for a while, and then they transition into a group. So there's lots of ways.
Richard?
Question for Vincent. I've never heard of the online appointments before. It seems like a great idea, right? Is that a best practice?
What I'm aware of, because every other thing has practice in this institution. It's always a little tricky on our end, more on the counseling side, because do people just schedule an appointment? Do they fill out paperwork online? And then what happens if they fill out paperwork online, you see it, and then the appointment isn't for like 2 weeks, but somewhere along in the paperwork, they've indicated something that's very concerning to you. Then you got to go reach out to the person. So it's tricky. That's what I'm saying. So you have to be really well thought out, and you have to figure out what's balance all the issues like that. But I'm certainly not opposed to it.
So currently, it's not available in counseling, but it is available in health services, right? Carly?
I just want to point out that I just did on my phone, you can put in KUDIT on the King website, and the King report comes right up. And so it's really just like bringing it to the Qubit team's attention. It doesn't have to be like a severe thing. It's just kind of like, it's not even like a red flag. It's just like, oh, by the way, this is kind of happening. So it's a not an evasive kind of thing as much as like calling campus police. A lot of people will not feel comfortable doing that because they feel like the student's going to get in trouble, or it's very like evasive. So the Qubit is the step before that.
And we're very sensitive to that for yourselves. And that's one of the reasons why we reach out to you first. Normally, it's not the case that we're just reaching out to the student and we receive the report. We want to connect with you first. So I appreciate that, absolutely.
Turns out there were different people that were making that referral, so maybe the experience was pretty minuscule. So we're like, this seems off, but then there was another issue, another aspect of
Correct.
it, like that was pretty critical, so could the team that sort of triangulate that information?
Absolutely. And then we can develop a strategy of how to help that student, absolutely. And again, connecting with you to provide you that support. Any other questions? Yes.
What would you recommend for a student, not disruptive exactly, but in place of like disability services, where maybe they're attending, they've suffered an injury or something, it's going to be short term, they don't need permanent services, but what would I do as a staff member to direct them sort of like on the right course?
Yes, Don.
Yeah, something like that.
Provide temporary accommodations for injuries. We can refer them to our office. We can provide them with a scribe. We had a rash program for suspension. So we describe exams for them. We would sometimes provide them with tapes for them. With the concussions and working with professors is the ability to keep them loose and walk to work. So we work with professors to maybe work on any of the themes that they can get done and so we do our office does handle it. And if you want
Good question. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the what I did not do, and I'll hear it later, is that we do have Joy Moskovitz, who also works with the Qubit team, Sorry, Joy. I know. Yes, I will. Joy actually is the Assistant Vice President for Academic Affairs, and we work very closely with her when it comes to the academic piece. And again, this is when I discussed earlier that in the event that we have to remove a student from a class temporarily, we're making the phone call to Joy directly. If we're looking for a different section of the same class for the student to address whatever's going on in that classroom, we're going to work directly with Joy. So we do connect that way in terms of the academic piece. So Qubit still continues to be that central point of conversation. And really the nice thing about it is that even if everything comes to us, we're going to get it to the right people. And that's really the ultimate goal of what we're talking about, really because of what you're saying. Where do I send the student now? And if that's the case, don't think twice about it. Kathleen, you send it to us, and then we'll figure out where it needs to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. Definitely once, and you know, what we could do is that if there's there could be a conversation also that we could have about what are some of the things that you're generally seeing, and we can kind of develop a strategy in that respect also. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging in. I know it was warm in here. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of the day, right? At home. It's gone already. Thank you. And thank you, guys. Thank you.
You did a much better job than we could have ever.
Yeah, absolutely.